Hello, America. Today's show topics include, are we ready for unity yet? Or should we just continue with this insanity? SCOTUS takes up an interesting case. Pumpkin spice and everything nice. Wait, what? Yeah, I don't know. Sit back, buckle up, and hang on because, yes, we are just getting started.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
You know what time it is, so sit back and get ready for the Stafford Voice, your dose of conservative in a world of liberal.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, how the heck are ya? I'm Daniel.
And Roxanne.
And you're watching or listening to The Stafford Voice, where we are conservative in a world of liberal. Look, we want to remind you there are many ways to tune in. So, set the channel as a favorite, whatever you have to do so you don't get left behind. Holy cow. Speaking of getting left behind, we have Mr. Brian Stoltz in the room. We've got Slick, we got Jessica, we've got Tina, I'm pretty sure she's watching in the background. Mr. Lego Brian Stoltz, it's been a long time, my friend, since we've seen you in the chat room. That's right, what is up? Oh man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to pump myself up. I'll get to it in just a second. Let me finish this spiel real quick. Tina, see, I told you Tina was there. You didn't think she was there, did you?
She's always there.
I know. She's awesome. So's Slick, so's Brian, so's everybody else in the room. Okay, so I want to remind you there are many ways to tune in, so set the channel as a favorite, whatever you have to do, so you don't get left behind. Because if for some strange, crazy reason you do miss the show, and listen, the easiest way to make sure you don't miss the show, the easiest way to do that, hit the subscribe button, smash it, hit those like buttons, share this with your friends and your family. Because if you do miss it, you'll be able to catch the replay, so just sit tight. There's no need to panic because, hey, we got you. We got you, right?
We do.
We do. So just make sure you subscribe. Again, it's the easiest way to stay caught up. And in case you aren't already following on social media, well, you can find us over on Twitter or Gab at Stafford Voice. Again, Twitter or Gab. Most of my activity is over on the Twitters. I apologize. I kind of stink at being every place at once. Anyway. Again, at Stafford Voice, or on Facebook or Instagram, whatever your social site of choosing is, wherever you're at, just search for the Stafford Voice, and, well, we're probably there. Okay, I need to, say, we have it seems like we got a packed house. We got Jessica, we've got Jess.
John.
We got Slick, we got John, Tina, we've got, in the room with Jess is Daniel and Justin and baby Gavin.
Baby Gavin.
The baby. Alan, Al's peeking his head in the door. Al, come on in, don't be bashful, I know you're not. You rock star, you. Oh, okay. You know, guys, I've missed you. Honestly, I've missed you since last week. A lot has happened. Listen, I have to apologize right off the bat. I am cold medicine improved. I don't really quite know what that's the whole hee-haw gang.
I just saw that.
Brian, oh no, we've got the radio guys in the house. They're lurking. Holy crap! I'm gonna get in trouble tonight.
Why?
Al, put it on the big speaker. Let everybody listen and watch.
Full House on TSV.
No, it's not full. No, not the show Full House. It's a Full House.
Well, the show Full House has lots of people in it.
It does.
So
anyway, okay. I don't know what being cold medicine improved really is. And yeah, Slick, I know that. Slick says he lost his effing mind in 2 days because of Twitter in Las Vegas. The radio guys say they're just wanting to watch the show. Al says these snowflakes couldn't handle it. Yeah, they could. Put it up on the projector. Let's show it to everybody. Let's melt things up there in the north, shall we? Brian says he wants to be Uncle Jesse. You probably could pull that off out of everybody, I think. But anyway, look, cut it out, okay?
Is that who you would be? That guy? I forgot his name. Dave?
Dave. Yeah, Dave.
Dave.
Dave's not here, man. Oh, no. We have Doug in the room. Is it not Doug's birthday?
It was the other day.
Was it yesterday or was it today? I don't know. I
think it
can't
was
keep
today.
up.
They did go to his job.
They did.
And put balloons in his
The kids
car.
went to Doug's house, or not house. They went to his work while he was working, and here's what they did. They took the shoe polish stuff and they drew all over the whole. They did the whole happy birthday thing to his van,
and called him an old man.
They called him an old man. You know how kids are with their dad. So they decorated his van. They filled it full of balloons. Anyway, so it's not Doug, it's Kelly. Kelly is his wife. She is awesome. She is Doug and Kelly are the other half to the grandparents of little baby Gavin. Thinking about Joey from Full House. That's right. That's what his name was. It was Joey.
I think his real name is Dave.
Yeah.
Collier, whatever.
Cool. Yeah. And the dude was funny. I don't know what happened to it. After the show, he kind of fell off the radar as a comedian. Anyway, Kelly, it's nice to have you joining and watching the show. It's kind of interesting because a lot of you guys I don't know have ever really seen the show or not. But, oh boy.
That means Daniel and Jessica are getting our names out there.
Yeah, and if I get in trouble, I'm blaming one of them, and I'm fairly certain I know which one to blame.
Does the name start with the D?
It does start with D, and it sounds a lot like Daniel. So, anyway, I wouldn't write happy birthday. John says he wouldn't write happy birthday on a van. He'd do something more creative like free candy. I don't know that you could get away with that, especially because this is Halloween.
I bought Halloween candy today. I bought
what?
Lots of Halloween candy today.
Why did you buy lots of Halloween candy?
Because I figured we'd probably eat some of it before Halloween, and then we can give the rest out.
It's
on
for
Halloween.
kids.
Well, Gavin's a kid, and he might come over and say hey, and we might have to give him Halloween candy and share it and show him how to eat it.
Oh, boy. I did have a Snickers before the show.
It looked really good.
It really satisfies.
Ha ha ha.
Oh, okay. So, if you're new to watching the show, this may be the tone is getting ready to shift a little bit. And I told you that I'm a little cold medicine improved, and a lot of this is because I'm trying to keep myself psyched. Otherwise, because I've already taken the cold medicine, the nighttime stuff, and at any given moment I could probably crash out. So I'm trying not to do that. So I'm trying to feel like my energy is pumping. But if you guys are, those of you that are longtime watchers and listeners, let me do something that I haven't done in a while. I'm going to give you some quotes. It's some rather lengthy quotes, but timely nonetheless. And as a matter of fact, it was October 27th, 53 years ago, in 1964, on October 27th, Ronald Reagan gave his speech called A Time for Choosing. I want to highlight a couple of things out of his speech. And then I want to kind of put it a little bit into context. He starts out by saying, I've spent most of my life as a Democrat. I recently have seen fit to follow another course. I believe that the issues confronting us cross party lines. He continues, we're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said, if we lose that war, and in so doing, lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. You and I are told increasingly that we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down. Up, man's old age dream, the ultimate and individual freedom consistent with law and order, or down to the ant-heap of totalitarianism. And regardless of their sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. And he continues by saying, the full power of centralized government, this was the very thing the Founding Fathers sought to minimize. They knew that governments don't control things. A government can't control the economy without controlling people, and they know when a government sets out to do that, it must use force and coercion to achieve its purpose. They also knew, those Founding Fathers, that outside of its legitimate functions, government does nothing as well or as economically as the private sector of the economy. Shall we continue? Yes. He goes on to say, no government ever voluntarily reduces itself in size, so government's programs, once launched, never disappear. Actually, a government bureau is the nearest thing to eternal life we'll ever see on this earth. Our natural, unalienable rights are now considered to be a dispensation of government, and freedom has never been so fragile, so close to slipping from our grasp, as it is at this moment. Our Democratic opponents seem unwilling to debate these issues. They want to make you and I believe that this is a contest between two men, that we're to choose just between two personalities. Now we're really getting into some meat. He continues, those who would trade our freedom for the soup kitchen of the welfare state have told us they have a utopian solution of peace without victory. They call their policy accommodation, and they say if we'll only avoid any direct confrontation with the enemy, he'll forget his evil ways and learn to love us. All who oppose them are indicted are indicted as warmongers. They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy or accommodation is appeasement, and it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Where, then, is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay. There is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said, the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we're spirits, not animals. And he said, there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or will sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness. Now, allow me to put that into context. I've titled tonight's show basically a call for unity. You see, over the weekend, it was a tragic event that happened. The events that we saw unfold in Las Vegas, there are no words to describe. None. No words at all to describe what happened. Those on one side of the political spectrum will argue that we need more government. Those on the other side of the spectrum will say we need less. We need to be able to put more guns in the hands of people. They need to have high-powered weapons. And again, those on the other side will say, well, if we take the weapons out of the hands, then we don't have to worry about it anymore. Again, we're at a time for choosing. However, we're also at a time for choosing unity. It's time we set aside petty politics. It's time that we shut down the idea that only certain lives matter. Because in the end, all lives matter. In the end, each and every one of us will have to stand accountable for our actions in front of our Lord and Savior. We're not going to answer for the next guy. We can only answer for ourselves. We have to accept the consequences for the choices that we make. Whether we choose to let liberty and freedom die on our watch, or whether we continue to let our lamps be filled with oil and let it burn for the next generation, is only a choice that you and I have to make. I know what I choose. I choose unity. It's time to set it all aside. It's time to quit worrying about a little letter in front of or behind a name. It's time we start hyphenating who we are. If you're proud of your heritage, that's fine. Accept your heritage. But you're an American. And say it with pride. The forces that we fight are proud for what they do. They're proud for the countries and the ideology that they fight for. It's time that you make a decision to stand up and fight for the cause of America. I'm not going to talk about what happened in Las Vegas. I don't know all the facts. Not everything has come out has come to light.
You hear this and you hear that. And
exactly.
This is what happened. This is what happened.
None of us know. None of us know the mental instability that he had. None of us do.
What's scary is he had no history that they know of any criminal or anything like that.
But here's the thing. I don't care. He accepted the consequence.
Yeah.
The consequence was life or death. He accepted death as his consequence. It's over. We can't go back and fix it. Mm-hmm. We can talk about it all we want. We're not doing it here on the show. We have other issues to talk about. Tonight's issue is a Supreme Court case and what it means to you guys. What does all of this mean to us? Every other talking head out there right now is talking about and analyzing what happened in Las Vegas. Some very respected people. I respect a lot of these talking heads. I really do. Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder. A lot of respect for him. Dana Lash. More respect for her than a lot of other people. She takes a lot. I'm gonna let them handle that one. We're gonna continue on and talk about the issues, and we're gonna look at them with an eye towards unity. Because this topic that SCOTUS, this case that the Supreme Court is discussing right now, has a very big impact on the idea of unity. And I'm talking about the idea of gerrymandering. You guys know what gerrymandering is, right? Of course. So, we've talked about this. It goes all the way back to Elbridge Gerry. He signed the Declaration of Independence. I mean, we learned all about that guy. So, you guys are well educated on the idea of gerrymandering. Well, here's the thing. Let's talk about the history of this particular court case. It basically goes back to a guy named Keith Gaddy, who is a supposed election expert from the University of Oklahoma. Well, back in 2011, he provided data that helped Wisconsin Republicans enact a legislative redistricting plan aimed at maximizing their power. We get this. Okay? Gerrymandering. Now he has reversed course, filed a brief with the U.S. Supreme Court arguing that the practice is undemocratic. Now, here's a guy that he has made his name and his living off of doing the very thing that he is arguing against. Does that make any sense to you?
No.
No. Silly, right? Well, so the court wants to know, they're trying to figure out whether extreme partisan gerrymandering is unconstitutional. Now, here was something that I found interesting. And this goes with the actual case that's being presented and what they're actually arguing. It says, in the short run, if the court sides with Gaddy, Republicans would be the losers. In the last 2 decades, the GOP has greatly increased and entrenched its dominance in the state legislatures and Congress through the use of partisan redistricting. The GOP now has control of state legislatures in 32 states, covering 61% of the population, while Democrats control just 13 state legislatures, covering 28. Back in 2004, the Supreme Court, by a 5-4 vote, refused to outlaw this practice. That is gerrymandering. But the fifth and decisive vote was cast by Justice Anthony Kennedy. Now, I want you to remember this, okay? He left the door open to revisiting this issue if a manageable test could be found for evaluating how much is too much partisanship. Okay, so what is this case about? It's from Wisconsin. Republicans in 2011 controlled both the legislature and the governorship in a redistricting year for the first time in decades, presenting them with a unique opportunity for consolidating their power. Working in secret, they drew new district lines that would, for the remainder of the decade, solidify their control. A week after the plan was unveiled, the GOP majority enacted it into law. The plan was amazingly on target. In the next election in 2012, Republicans carried only a minority of the state vote, 48.6%. But, as the GOP map designers had privately predicted, Republicans still won close to two-thirds of the state assembly seats, a 60 to 39 seat majority. Something's fishy. The tools the map designers used were not new. Packing large concentrations of Democratic voters into a district to give the opposition party far more voters than they needed to win. They then spread out the remaining Democrats into districts where they would be clearly outnumbered, which is a practice known as cracking. Now, remember what Justice Kennedy said. Well, this analysis comes from actually an NPR article, and it's actually a very good read. It says a divided federal court found that while these techniques were not new, something else was, specifically high-speed computer technology able to spit out thousands of alternative maps that meet the test of having equal numbers of residents and instantly matching each prospective map with new kinds of voter data to project outcomes well in advance of any election, all with breathtaking accuracy. Gaddy emphasizes that he didn't draw any maps himself. What he did was create ways to run thousands of computer simulations, analyze the data, and give it to those who actually were drawing the maps. One of the lawyers who was representing the GOP legislative leadership said, "It is a political fact that Democratic voters tend to be relatively concentrated in urban areas and the Republicans are relatively dispersed in rural areas." They declined to have a comment after being interviewed for the article. Wisconsin Solicitor General Misha Setlin will defend the plan in the Supreme Court. She will tell the justices there is nothing salamander-like, which goes back to the idea of gerrymandering, because the lines were so crooked and skewed that it looked like a salamander. There is nothing salamander-like in his state's redistricting. But the University of Michigan's Joey Chen, an expert on geography and gerrymandering, has a different take. After running some 200 potential redistricting maps, he concluded that the state's demographic geography accounts for only 1 to 3 more seats for Republicans, whereas aggressively partisan gerrymandering yielded a 10 to 15 seat GOP advantage in the state legislature. So right there, we're seeing that they could have... They've had the data, they ran the tests. What they could have done was completely set themselves up. And what Tina is saying, she said, wow, talk about stuffing the ballot boxes. Exactly. And John, yes, this is what they've been doing for decades. Brian says, it sounds like the Democrats are butthurt, the Republicans are doing exactly what they would do. Yes. Now, where are we at on time? Are we good?
3 minutes.
We got 23 minutes left?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's continue on with this. And I'll give you... Now, but John, here's the thing. Yes, in the eyes of Democrats, only Democrats can cheat. They don't like it when Republicans play the same cards that they do. Now, here's the question. Can the courts really tell when a plan is extreme? The legal question before the Supreme Court is whether such partisanship and gerrymandering is so extreme that it is unconstitutional. Okay? Does it deny citizens the equal protection of the law? Does it deny them their First Amendment right of free speech and association by making their votes less valuable? And ultimately, is that something a court can accurately measure? I think that I'm going to continue. Right here. A Republican guy he served as 32 years in the Wisconsin legislature. His name's Dale Schultz. He voted for the redistricting plan that is now before the Supreme Court, but he had second thoughts when he realized the enormous damage it created for his party. Did you catch that? A Republican realized that what he voted for gave too much of an advantage for his own party.
Does it make sense? Or it does. What?
Yes, it does. Here. The first big tip-off, and this is a quote from Dale Schultz again. He says, the first big tip-off was after the 2012 election, when the Democrats had won a substantial victory in Wisconsin by, I think, 125,000 votes. Okay?
Okay.
But lost a considerable number of seats in the legislature. How do you like them apples? Does that sound fair? Does that sound like we're giving equal value to a vote? No? Okay. No, I completely agree. So here's what it says. New tools to analyze voter behavior brought to bear with current technology amplifies what you can do in redistricting like we've never seen before. We've allowed technology and gerrymandering to sort of rob the people of their vote. Legislatures are picking their constituents rather than constituents picking their legislators. Some critics of court involvement point to an alternative solution adopted in some states, the creation of independent redistricting commissions to draw maps, which I don't think is that bad. At least 7 states have adopted such commissions. Well, very, very few times. I can honestly think that this is probably one time that I actually kind of agree with someone in the Supreme Court who tends to lean a little liberal. Now, they were saying that the argument had gone on for nearly an hour when Justice Gorsuch began a question as follows. Quote, maybe we can just for a second talk about the arcane matter of the Constitution. Now, we know that Gorsuch is an originalist and a textualist. So he is often found criticizing colleagues for inventing rights that are not found in the nation's founding document. Okay? Gorsuch went on to give his colleagues a civics lecture about the text of the Constitution. Quote, and where exactly do we get authority to revise state legislative lines? When the Constitution authorizes the federal government to step in on state legislative matters, it's pretty clear. If you look at the 15th Amendment, you look at the 19th Amendment, the 26th Amendment, and even the 14th Amendment, Section 2. So basically, in other words, Gorsuch was saying, why should the court involve itself in the subject of redistricting at all? Didn't the Constitution fail to give the court the authority to do so? At this time, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, just as frail as she is, just sitting there all droopy-like, she grumbles without really even picking her head. She didn't even pick her head up. Here's what she grumbled. Quote, "Where did one person, one vote come from?" If you ask me, she basically put Gorsuch in his place. Because that's what all of this is about. Giving equal weight and merit from one vote to the next. I mean, can we not just... Here's a novel idea. Why don't we just use the county lines? Why do we have to even have separate group draw out specified areas? Why can't we just use the already designated lines that are set aside for counties?
Has it always been that way, or did they change that? Because it would make more sense, just like you said, to do the county lines and not...
It would make sense. But, I mean, the government doesn't like common sense. They want to make it as difficult as they can. Because they want to shift the power as much as they can. And here's where this falls in line with the idea of unity. If we accept the idea that who cares if you're a Republican? Who cares if you're a Democrat? Who really cares? It comes down to who you are as a person, what you believe, what your values are, what your intents are. You don't always have to fall in line with party leaders. Do you?
No.
No. I mean, I don't always fall in line with Republican, quote-unquote, ideas. I don't. I don't always fall in line. But that's the beauty of this. That's the whole idea behind unity. That's the whole idea behind the founding and the foundation of this country. We were united as one, and we told them, no, we're on our own. We got this. Bruh. I mean, so then we set out and we put together the Constitution. No. Nowhere in there does it give the power or authority for the national government to come in and say, nope, here's your voter lines. This is what you need to do. Nowhere in there does it say that the court is going to eventually have to step in and say, this is what we think. And slick, I get it. The problem with unity is that it's hard to pull it off when they're shooting at us. But at some point, did we exclude that guy or gal and push him off to be radicalized by some other ideology? Are we so inclusive that we only accept those that fit our mold? Are we so inclusive that If we don't like the car that our neighbor drives, well, we just can't be friends with him. I don't like Chevrolets. Nope, I'm only a Ford guy. I don't talk to Chevy guys.
Pretty much where it's going right now.
Yes.
The whole world.
That's exactly my point. Can we set aside all this stuff? If we really started trying to unite the country, and we all agreed on this, that instead of focusing on partisan issues, the things that try and drive a wedge between us. Oh, well, I'm black and you're white and you don't understand. Or you're white, you're a racist, you don't understand. You voted for Trump. Nah, you're a racist. Seriously? Is that really what this world has come to? Are we so unaccepting of the next guy or gal that this is what we have become? No. I don't think so. Unless you like pumpkin spice.
I was just going to say.
Unless you like pumpkin spice, we may have to draw a line there.
That may not bring unity to anybody if you like pumpkin spice.
But, overwhelmingly, I posted a poll over on Twitter over the weekend. Basically, candy corn and pumpkin spice. Yes, sure, I'm all for it, or no, that stuff is from the devil. And now, let me just address real quick what's going on over in the chat room. I apologize. Slick says he excluded himself. I would agree, but it appears that way. But again, I'm not reading anything of the articles. I'm not reading a single article. I haven't. I haven't watched the video. I didn't listen to the audio. I'm not going to. I can try and analyze it all I want, but in the end, what does it fix? It doesn't fix anything. Slick says, here's my point. It isn't us that needs to set anything aside. It's them. We've tried. We've compromised our standards for 40 years. When do they start compromising theirs? Totally agree. I could not agree more. Now, John says, and they've used the church of advocating the poor and elderly. They can't compromise. Brian's talking about log cabin Republicans. Jessica says she doesn't like pumpkin spice except in candles. Smells great, won't eat it.
But you don't want to eat candles.
No, you don't want to eat candles. Nobody eats candles. I mean, you could eat crowns.
Yeah, but that's not good for you, I'm sure.
No, I don't think it's good for you at all.
I've never tried to eat a crayon.
You can light them and use them as an emergency candle.
That's what's scary. That's why you don't eat them.
What about paste? Can you eat paste?
No, but you can put it on.
What about pumpkin spice paste?
I didn't see that on the list.
What do you mean list?
I have a list of pumpkin spice things you can eat.
Oh, wait. What? They have somebody actually compiled a list.
65 items. I don't know if we'll go through all 65 items, but
how much time do we have?
8.
We got 8 minutes? Okay, we got plenty of time. Jess says she doesn't like anything pumpkin. I like pumpkin pie. And Slick says not only are they not going to compromise, they are now actively calling for our death. Okay. John says crowns give him gas and diarrhea.
Oh, gosh.
Oh. John boy. Seriously, why do you have to take it there? Oh. Okay, let's look. Enough about the serious stuff. Let's have a little bit of fun before I fall asleep on the show. Slick says he loves him some pumpkin pie. I like pumpkin pie.
Yeah, you can't. That's like a classic. You can't
mess with pumpkin pie.
No.
Pumpkin pie is off limits. Pumpkin pie better not have made the list. Even though I know you use pumpkin spice to make pumpkin pie, right? You use pumpkin pie spice, right?
Yes.
Okay. Where does this list start?
It's just random stuff. I mean,
random
stuff.
They
have pumpkin spice yogurt pretzels.
No. Next.
Pumpkin spice Cheerios.
No. Next. Listen, stop it right there. Whoever the moron is that invented pumpkin spice Cheerios should have been fired.
They're not bad, but I'm not going to run out and buy a box.
They should have been fired.
Okay. Well,
why? Because there's only one type of Cheerio. That's original Cheerios, and then you put honey on top. That's it.
The honey nut one.
No, it's not enough honey.
Okay, well,
I don't want fake honey on my Cheerios.
What about pumpkin spice protein powder?
No! What the hell? That's like saying you want a pumpkin pie. That's like saying you want a pumpkin spice energy drink. What the hell is wrong with you?
Your dog may want some pumpkin pie spice flavored greenies.
Oh my god, why do we have to get into feeding our cats and dogs pumpkin spiced crap?
The Cliff Bars have a spiced pumpkin pie.
I'm not going to eat those. Not going to eat them.
Oh wait, here's another one. This is the Honest Kitchen instant pumpkin spice latte for dogs.
You can't give your...
How about...
Why the hell would you give your dog a latte?
How about some seasoning spray?
Some what?
Seasoning spray. Like olive oil. It's in a can like olive oil spray.
No, I am not going to spray pumpkin spiced oil on my chicken.
There's cream cheese, yogurt, coffee creamer, protein bars.
These people are stupid.
Jell-O pudding.
Next thing you're going to tell me is they have somebody out there has pumpkin spiced throat lozenges, like cold medicine.
They do. I think it's like CVS or something like that. They have those. There's also pumpkin spice squeezable applesauce.
Oh, why, people? Why?
Sparkling pumpkin spice.
What about ice cream? Pumpkin.
There is. Halo Top has it, and Talani.
Gross.
Tea. Chocolates.
No.
Popcorn.
No. What?
Popcorn.
Oh, I thought you said Pop-Tarts.
No, there's Pop-Tarts too.
You can't jack with Pop-Tarts.
Croissants.
Okay, what about pumpkin spice condoms?
I didn't see that on there, but this sounds really gross. Pumpkin spice kale chips. That just sounds really gross.
Okay, well, what about fast food restaurants?
Well, Dunkin' Donuts has a donut.
Well, what about let's see, we have a taco, we have a hang on, there's a Tex-Mex place down the road. What if they had like pumpkin spice churros?
I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, "Oh, okay."
Brian knows me. Brian is a longtime listener.
No pumpkin spice Nutella.
No. The people over at Nutella know. You don't mess with it. Now,
coconut milk.
Pumpkin spice scented sanitary napkins.
Oh, that's gross.
I would never hope that somebody would rub pumpkin spice scented anything on their hoo-hoo.
Their hoo-hoo?
Yeah.
Pumpkin spice moonshine.
What is your Jessica? I'm sorry. I'm scrolling up, and it says that she says something about a non-edible pumpkin spice catastrophe. What if you have a pumpkin spiced? What's the thing you stick up your, like we did the jalapenos last week? Pumpkin spice suppositories.
Oh, I was totally confused and I had that. Wait, what? Look on your face. Hey, pumpkin spice easy squeeze Jell-O shots. There's the Pop-Tarts.
Oh God. Why do we have
salsa?
No. Ugh.
Pop-Tarts.
Okay, wait. Slick says
Blizzard.
pumpkin spice moonshine. I wonder what it tastes like.
Let me see if I can find it again. Oh, here it is.
I wonder if it tastes like pumpkin pie. If it tasted like pumpkin pie, it probably wouldn't be all that bad.
I'm just assuming it's a liquor of some type, and I don't drink, so...
Moonshine is liquor.
I know, but...
Kind of like a cat licking its butt. So if you feed a cat... Now,
she's
hang
over
on,
here
wait.
licking herself.
If you feed a cat pumpkin spice cat food and they poop, will it be pumpkin spiced butthole?
No, because one of the things of food that we feed our cat, the Fresh Pet, has pumpkin in
Oh,
it.
come on. Why are you corrupting the cat?
She loves it. That's her favorite one.
Oh. What is... Slick, put one on each finger. It makes a mess when it comes into contact with soup.
I did not see pumpkin spice condoms on here, babe.
They better... John says pumpkin spice girls.
Oh, gee.
I've seen some gals at Walmart that look like they could be pumpkin girls. Is that the same thing? What about like health foods? You said something about like protein powders and energy drinks.
I didn't
protein
see an
bars.
energy
What about
drink.
like potato chips or something?
I didn't see potato chips, but I saw the kale chips.
Now, wait a minute.
I have never had kale chips. I don't know if I really care to try them, but then you just add kale chips and pumpkin spice. That just sounds like an awful mix of nastiness.
Oh, God. Justin says pumpkin spice rum. That probably wouldn't be all that. That probably wouldn't be all that bad.
They had Kahlua on here.
A pumpkin spice Kahlua?
Yes.
That's probably good.
Yeah, but we don't drink
Pumpkin
pie
spice scrambled egg.
sunscreen.
No, Brian. No. You're crossing the line.
John said pumpkin spice sunscreen. Ooh, that sounds good. Baked pumpkin with some cinnamon and nutmeg and brown sugar. I've never tried that.
That's like the 4 ingredients you need to make a pumpkin pie.
But pumpkin is like a squash.
Oh, is that time? That's the bell. That's the dinner bell. We gotta go. We're done. No more pumpkin spice this. No more pumpkin spice that. Okay? That time, that beep, 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 says it's over. That's all the time we have for this week. Hang on just a second if you're watching over on YouTube or on Twitch. I don't know if anybody's watching over on Twitch, but if you are, hang around. We're going to end the show on the radio side, and we will be right back for the after the show. Thank you. Sorry, cold medicine is really kicking in. This
You're doing way better than I would have.
Yeah, you would have been knocked out way before. Oh God, pumpkin Old Spice deodorant. Jesus, John, seriously. Okay. Unfortunately, that sound we heard earlier just a second ago is the bell that says that's all we have for this week. God willing, the Stafford voice. I, Daniel, her, Roxanne.
Me.
Yeah, you, Roxanne.
It's me.
Together, we'll be back next week. You can follow us on Twitter at Stafford Voice. You can look us up on a Facebook page by searching for the Stafford Voice. Go ahead and hit the like button wherever you're at. And make sure you subscribe. You can email your questions, comments, or concerns to the Stafford Voice at gmail.com. Again, that is the Stafford Voice at gmail.com. Next week's show is all about abortion. Teaser. Okay. I want to thank you so much for your time, and until next week, thanks, and God bless.